Well, I've come back from outside having washed down the case, and I think it's looking really quite smart. We've got little bits of flaking powder coating down there, a little bit on the edges up here. There's a little bit of grot inside these little vents here, which I can't get to it, so it'll just have to stay. The sticker survived washing. Interesting how the earth connections where the power supply are, and also where the motherboard screws in, they've kept the powder coating away from that little area. They must have taped those bits out when they sprayed the whole thing. But that's come up really lovely and clean. But as there's a few extra screws I need, and just for completeness, I think what I'm going to do is a quick teardown of the other machine and see what other parts, what similar parts, what alternative parts we have in this. We'll also see how the half-height drives fit in, because there's an extra little bracket. I know that to be true. What I need to do is clear away the bits from the first machine and open this one up. So let's do that. Right, let's set to on this and see if we can find some spare card supports and some spare screws, perhaps to replace, I've lost it now, but the square headed one, that's the wrong screw, that is the wrong piece there. So there's some bits to swap out, just to make one very nice complete unit, and also to see what else to expect. So the same task. Might that be catching on or rubbing on? Oh, cables. That's what. That's a bit tricky. Well, the arrangement in here is certainly different. Not nearly so many cards. I wonder if I've taken any out already. It's in this machine I found a graphics card to suit my Compaq 286. So I know someone's fiddled around in here. It looks like I've left the async card, hard drive controller, although it's a short one, and the floppy drive. Minor little curiosity. The bracket for the speaker is black in this example and is put in place with a couple of little squeezy clips. No screw involved. So that's a little bit different. Oh, now that's feeling a little bit cross-threaded. I'm very reluctant to come out. How about the others? So I may need to take a tap and die set to one or two of these threads. Oh dear, oh dear. How do I get that screw out? Oh! I have a feeling it's just the wrong thread again. Really can't. That is stuck. go. The screw has survived. Presumably the thread on the machine hasn't. A little bit of a bend on there. Straighten that up. It goes back in, I'll have to straighten that up. One floppy drive controller. I wonder how that compares to the other one. With a white connector. The other one was a black connector. Otherwise very similar. 8650 and 8415, I don't know, must be date of manufacture, 50th week of 1986. This one has an NEC chip, this one has an Intel chip. Now this is a small hard drive controller in one of the small slots at the end that would collide with the floppy drive. Now that's interesting. I've only got one extra hard drive rail. Right, I'm having camera issues, but we'll try and persevere anyway and see if we can get any further. Are you staying in focus? Right, here we have a small hard drive controller. WD 1002A, so that's a Western Digital. It's quite likely to be original to the system, I would think. Ooh. That is going to be another async card, which it is. So we have one of those. Is it the same? Similar capacitors, very similar thing. Now this is a different cable. It is an IBM part. And we have connections for A and B. Perhaps that's better on the overhead camera. So what that means is I can have two half-height drives connected to one floppy controller. So that's going to be useful. Right, so if I take my little camera on a stick and have a look close up, we can see the first issue. There we are, rear recording. The first issue is one of these little tantalums managed to explode when I try to plug it in and power it on. That's what we're trying to avoid. Whether that's done any damage or not, I don't know. I rather doubt it. This one is a 256 to 640 kilobyte system board. We zoom up here. We have under here we have the processor, but we do not have a coprocessor. That's an empty socket there, just by the power connectors. This is the half-height floppy drive. So you can see there's a cage around here with an empty space under here and an empty cradle. So with this cable, bring that back in, we can have two half-height floppy drives in one bay. And I think that would be quite an interesting option. Bring this around. Here is my smaller Western Digital hard drive controller card into a half height but still 5¼ inch hard drive. This one is an ST225, so I think that's 20 megabytes. Power supply as per the other one, which actually looks a little bit cleaner in some ways, although there is an issue with this. And back round to the other side. I really don't know what's happened here. Someone seems to have spliced these cables, perhaps to put another Molex connector or another power supply on there. I have a feeling somebody was trying to connect a compact monitor. Trying to attach something. So I've got to do a repair on those cables on P8. And notice these are both printed, they're not handwritten. So that's what we got inside this machine. It's just about in frame. Take the Molex off. If I can. The other one was very stiff as well. Oh, it's jammed in. Haha! It's not going to come out of the cage. Oh, there we go. It's a bit tight. Will this thing pop out? Yes. So there we are, simple plate. This is the cage that is catching. Oh! Now it'll go in backward. Oh well, we'll do it the wrong way round. That's curious. But no IBM logo. No IBM logo on this either. No IBM logo on there. So they've gone a bit more generic. So, bring that closer to the camera. You can see the half height drive is achieved by using a cage. Right, we'll try and persevere through the problems I'm having with my cameras. And I would like to take the motherboard out and give this case a wash. And we'll see what some of the differences might be. I'm sure that's not in focus. Ah, a little bit of water staining underneath, but otherwise very shiny, good condition. That looks quite reasonable. We can see some water staining in the case. I shouldn't think that matters too much. And the date, 18th of December 1986. Two more screws to remove. And that's come out nice and easily. So there we are. Two motherboards, very different colour, but very similar layout. In fact, I think they're exactly the same. So what makes one board a higher memory capacity than the other? I don't know. Two different motherboards, very different colour, but seemingly the same layout. There must be some adjustments, as the later motherboard doesn't have these additions and corrections on there. The other side again, you just see the different colour, but nothing else is obvious. The general layout of the tracks looks to be similar, if not the same. Then, if we turn them this way round, the repair I have to do is up here. That is the blown tantalum. It'll be similar here, so I need to test across all of these, make sure they're safe to power up. Ah, small difference here by the keyboard. I can see one tantalum at the side and a few down the gap. But here we've got two down the side, none in the gap, and a few more near the processor. So there's a very small layout difference just in this corner here. So I'll give this second case a wash and when we get one of the power supplies or both working, we can test the motherboards and then we can test the accessory boards as well, and we'll see what we've got.